Part 12, Awesome Nightfall, Saigyo's poetry. The last section we talked about monkeys and the one mind. This section.
About mind.
What?
What did you say about monkeys?
Monkeys.
What's going on? Okay.
Now we're reading poem 836. Why in this world where one here yesterday is off today to the world of death are more and more years and still more and more months given me. He doesn't understand why he's living to a long old age. He didn't expect it. He lived to 72, I think, of course, back in the 12th century. That's pretty old. Why in this world where one here yesterday is off today to the world of death are more and more years and still more and more months given me? He wasn't planning on being so old. It's smart not to plan to be old, because you might not be. On the way to Tenno-ji Temple, I got caught in the rain in the area known as Iguchi. I asked at one place for a night's lodging. When refused, I replied as follows. Remember when he was refused?
Yeah.
A famous poet like him, they have the audacity to refuse him. But they didn't know he's famous. What kind of temple? He says in poem 820, it is hard, perhaps, to hate and part with the world, but you are stingy. Even with the night I ask of you a place in your soon left in. It is hard, perhaps, to hate and part with the world, but you are stingy. Even with the night I ask of you a place in your soon left in. Yeah, the world doesn't even give him one night stay. Stingy. The world is stingy. Poor guy can't even. What kind of temple is that? Anyways, he says the response from a woman of pleasure. There's a woman of pleasure. The 821. He says, it's because I heard you're no longer bound to life as a householder that I'm loath to let you get attached to this inn of brief bought stays. Response from a woman of pleasure.
She had like it was scary.
It's a response from a woman of pleasure. Says, it's because I heard you're no longer bound to life as a householder that I'm loath to let you get attached to this inn of brief bought stays.
She's going to be attached to the place of
There's something about he stays at a place where they have a brothel.
That's the place.
And this is the poem. She's speaking of him.
Yeah, that's why.
Do I understand this? She rejected him.
Before that, they didn't. She asked to stay overnight, and they didn't. That's not. It was her place. It was her business in a way. It was not a template.
Did she reject him? I don't know. I don't know. I know we read this before, and I don't quite remember the circumstances. I would remember the woman of pleasure. All right, I'm gonna read it again. It's because I heard you're no longer bound to life as a householder that I'm loath to let you get attached to this inn of grief. Bought stays. I guess it means what it means. He doesn't want to interrupt him, maybe. But she probably wouldn't anyway. Under the moon, recollecting the past. Now he says, in poem 844, that moon up there, how many more autumns will I be here to see it? Something long ago fixed for this life by an earlier one. Something long ago fixed for this life by an earlier one.
So, what is his life now?
I was just wondering how many more moons he's going to see.
From a previous life.
How many more autumns will I see?
Yeah, how many years he's going to live and all that. It's pre-decided from previous karma.
Right. Poem 845. Drenched here in moonlight, I hope the dead, too, have this illumination on the paths they tread through darker worlds. He's hoping that the dead even have the illumination on the path of the moon. Why does he hope they get the moon? He's drenched here in moonlight. I hope the dead, too, have this illumination on the paths they tread through darker worlds. Just the illumination of the moon. That's that concept of... what's the concept? The personalized luminescent moon. Gachrinkan. The Kacharin Khan. And from the Shingon school of Buddhism, where one gets the intermoon within them, as taught as researched by Yamada Shosen. I'm trying to be very technical. Okay, dear. Poem 846. At a point in time when I was feeling desolate, I heard the voice of a cricket very close to my pillow. At that turning point in my head, for the last time, pillowed in sagebrush, I'd have this chirping insect still be what's closest to me.
It's amazing they're alone, how long they were. So
This guy, he lived in a mountain hut as a hermit.
I have a poem about, did I read that one? About the Vietnam fly.
The fly?
That was around all the time.
The fly?
Yeah, the fly was in front of me.
The fly that was hanging out with you?
A little bit. I read one of those, and I was sitting on the computer to go, okay, you come on the screen. And
yeah.
I come here, you come on, sit down on the page, And so it was all the time around, and I got further, and I started to get attached to it in a way.
To the fly?
And then, I thought, it cannot be like I'm here, this fly here, and there. There must be more than one fly. I said. And my goodness, there were more than one fly because I kept those orange peels in the plastic bag, and they came from the. And I looked at the plastic bag with the dry orange peels inside, and there were like flies and flies. Oh God, I was invaded every time.
Here he says, At a point in time when I was feeling desolate, I heard the voice of a cricket very close to my pillow. And from poem 846. Here, H girl has a fly and Saigyo has a cricket. He says, at that turning point in my head for the last time, pillowed in sagebrush, I'd have this chirping insect still be what's closest to me.
And then, you know what I did? I started to kill flies.
Started to kill.
And then I said, my goodness, it's horrible. Killing flies. I
You kill
a
it?
plastic bag with orange PLC and I took it out to the cabinet. That's how I got rid of the flies.
That's how you get rid of flies. We're reading very slowly through Saigyo. This is you've heard of slow food? This is slow poetry. Slow. You have to meditate for like 3 to 6 hours before you listen to this tape or you don't get it. So it's not really for non-meditators. Next poem. My fellow pilgrim, the monk Sachi had an illness that had reached a critical point. Under a bright moon, my sadness. And he says in poem 849, side by side, year after year, you and I gazed and gazed at the autumn moon, which now seen alone is the sum of sadness. There's so many moon poems. Side by side, year after year, you and I gazed and gazed at the autumn moon, which now seen alone is the sum of sadness. Page 107 from Awesome Nightfall. Poem 916. My body will somewhere fall by the wayside into a state of sleep and still more sleep, like the dew that each night appears, then falls from roadside grasses. My body will somewhere fall by the wayside into a state of sleep and still more sleep, like the dew that each night appears, then falls from roadside grasses. Poem 920. Nameless remains go up in smoke here at Mount Taribi, each one awesome in its own way, with night falling on graves. Nameless remains go up in smoke here at Mount Taribi, each one awesome in its own way, with night falling on graves. We're reading from Awesome Nightfall, Part 12, end of Part 12, page 108. Saigyo was a favorite of Basho, the favorite poet of Basho, who wrote The Narrow Road to the Deep North, and he also went on that narrow road to the deep north looking for the places that Saigyo stopped at. Of course, Saigyo also traveled